think of you every day. I hope and I wish that you're doing okay. I want us to go back to the old days. Because I miss you.
She said she'd be right back. I got gas and I'm out. I should be back soon. I love you too. Good night, love. And then silence. Her white Ford Edge was found in Hyattsville. Keys where she left them. Wallet still inside. The phone she just used to say she was safe, gone. What followed was a family counting minutes with their hearts in their throats. A neighborhood learning how to search. And a county trying to pull a signal out of a tension that felt like fog. 9 days later, the answer arrived in the least humane way. Along Route 50, near Route 97, in Anne Arundel County, in the grass by the road, searchers found a body. Tattoos and jewelry carried the identity her family already feared. 19-year-old Dacara Thompson was not coming home. The driveway did not hold the truth. Cameras did. They saw a black SUV. They saw where it went. They led detectives to a house in Bowie. And behind a door, inside a bedroom, the evidence spoke for her. The room said what the abandoned car could not. You're watching Dark Trace Crime Cases, where we examine not only what happened, but how it was allowed to happen. If you believe accountability should outweigh privilege, tap like so this story reaches more people who need to see it.
It was always on Larry Miller. Well, Thompson was last seen August 22nd when she told her father that she was going out before leaving her father's home in Lanham and never returned. Our Lionel Donovan spoke with attendees as they gathered in Hyattsville where Thompson was last seen and walked with them as they searched the neighborhood for clues.
To understand why this matters, you have to hold her life in the same frame as that last text. The youngest of 5, raised in Prince George's County, living with her father in Hyattsville, anchored by a family described as loving and close-knit. She was a St. Charles High School graduate with an eye on the Air Force, already pouring herself into a year of service through Maryland's service year option. She worked at a local nonprofit, art on one side of her life, public service on the other, the kind of balance you only see in people who already know who they are. The people who loved her remembered her warmth first. The energy, the bright way she filled a room, the focus she was starting to sharpen into something bigger than herself. When she didn't come home, that family moved like a machine powered by love. The mother, Carmen, put herself in front of cameras and phones, refused to let anyone look away. The siblings amplified every update. Friends turned their feeds into a missing person grid. Neighbors posted, reposted, demanded to be seen. It shouldn't take a family begging to be believed to turn a case into a priority. But they did it anyway, because the only thing worse than not knowing was being quiet. The night she disappeared began with something so ordinary it would be invisible on any other day. August 22nd, 2025. Late evening. A quick gas run. Cameras in the Eastgate Shopping Center watched her white Ford Edge pull into the Shell station like it was any other night. Your brain wants to trust images like that. Well lit. Familiar brands. Routine. She answered her father's check-in in real time. I got gas and I'm out. I should be back soon. I love you too. Good night. And then time stopped moving in the way time should. Morning brought no return, and that was wrong enough that the family didn't wait. They filed the missing person report on August 23rd. Detectives began from where most cases start. The last ping, the last sighting, the cameras that might show one more angle. The family and community kept the pressure on. Flyers on corners. Posts that moved through group chats and neighborhood pages like a drumbeat. In those first days, the search map felt too wide and too thin at the same time. On August 24th, her car turned up in Hyattsville. Keys and wallet still there. The absence inside the car was its own kind of presence. The phone that had told the father goodnight was the only thing that had left. Days blurred. Police pulled video. They asked questions. They followed threads that went nowhere until one didn't. Somewhere between August 25th and August 29th, a camera pointed in the right direction finally showed what mattered. It wasn't the Shell station. It was Langley Park in the early morning hours of August 23rd. The lens caught her approaching a black GMC Yukon Denali, pausing to speak with the driver, then getting in. There is a kind of danger that hides itself by looking ordinary. A girl getting into a car on her own feet is not a fight. It does not look like danger in the first second you see it, and yet everything that follows depends on that second. Detectives followed the SUV instead of the guesses. Registration pulled up a residence on Cambridge Drive in Bowie. Data placed the vehicle there. More importantly, it placed her phone there, the same phone that had promised a return home. The signal lived until just before dawn, until about 5 in the morning. Then it was cut. A quiet cut is still a cut. To investigators, a sudden silence at the end of a trail is not an absence. It's a sign. From that point, cooperation tightened. Prince George's County detectives and Arundel County, Maryland State Police, lines that can feel like borders, started acting like bridges. Surveillance set up outside the Bowie house. On September 3rd, the black Yukon sat where it had been before. A man came out, matched the description, got behind the wheel. The distance between suspicion and evidence started to collapse. The next day, the door opened with a warrant. Inside the bedroom, the story returned to her, not as rumor, not as theory, but as proof. Blood, a broken fingernail, hair, forensic traces that do not lift their eyes or look away. The room said this is where it happened. In one note, the bedroom told a truth the driveway never could. By then, the discovery along Route 50 had already closed the loop between house and bridge. The office of the chief medical examiner put words around what the evidence had already shouted. Homicide. The trauma to her head and face was severe. The map became a line no one wanted to trace. Langley Park to Bowie to the grass near the highway. An arrest followed. The name was public. Hugo Hernandez Mendez, 35. Charges: common law murder, tampering with physical evidence, disposing of a body in an unauthorized place. An indictment in October formalized what police had already laid out. He was held without bond after the indictment. In interviews, he denied involvement and invoked his right to counsel. That is his right. The evidence will speak in court. The system angle sits like a splinter under the skin. Months before, U.S. Park Police had arrested the same man for DUI. He was released pending trial. It's not speculation to say this. When a person has already intersected with law enforcement and moves through separate jurisdictions, the seams matter. If those seams don't hold, everything dangerous slips through. In this case, coordination eventually became strong, fast, effective surveillance, license plate data, phone data, search warrants, a quick indictment. The outrage is that the speed arrived after she was gone. The lesson is that speed should be the default in cases like this, not the exception won by family pressure and viral attention. What keeps coming back to me is the ordinariness of the opening frame. A gas station, a check-in text, a plan to be home soon. That's why the pacing here has to slow down, not to drag you through grief, but to honor the part of her life that did everything right. She was careful. She communicated. She moved in a well-lit space, on camera, in a corridor with other people around. Her family did everything right the morning after. Immediate report, immediate amplification, relentless clarity. Law enforcement, once aimed, did the things that work: cameras, plate readers, digital timelines, warrants. And still, what happened. What did the community do with that? They mourned. Kettering Baptist Church Legacy Center filled for the funeral. People who loved her and people who never met her stood shoulder to shoulder. Governor Wes Moore acknowledged the loss. A fundraiser helped the family carry the uncarryable. In interviews, her mother and siblings turned their grief into insistence. Not just for justice in one case, but for attention that arrives when it can still change a result. For missing black women to be treated as urgent without a hashtag having to drag the spotlight over. If you're watching this from a place that knows what it's like to search, here's the part that belongs to you. Delivered as a story, not a lecture. Late outings are part of life. You can't fear every errand into paralysis, but you can set the table in your favor. Tell someone where you're going and when you'll be back. Make the check-in a habit. not a one-off. Choose spaces that are staffed and watched when you have the option. If you're meeting anyone at all, treat public and visible as requirements, not preferences. You don't owe anyone a private place. And if your gut says not this, there is no social courtesy that outranks survival. The loss is a 19-year-old woman whose life was turning into service, a family that did not waste a second, a community that refused to be quiet. The legal path will win. Indictments turn into hearings, hearings into trial or pleas. What we can say, because it's in the record, is that Hugo Hernandez Mendez was indicted on murder and related charges for tampering with evidence and disposing of a body unlawfully. He was held without bond after the indictment. He denied involvement and asked for a lawyer. The rest will belong to a courtroom. What belongs to us is the memory and the mandate. Dacara's story is not only a cautionary tale. It's a map you can read in reverse. At every point where the case moved faster, family action, community visibility, camera trails, shared jurisdiction, you can feel the clock lose some of its power. It did not save her, but it will save someone else if we stop treating these steps like optional extras and start treating them like the baseline. Her last words were love and logistics. I should be back soon. I love you too. That's the most ordinary kind of promise. The system owes the next family the speed that can make promises like that true. Share this so her name stays tied to reform and not just grief. Subscribe to Dark Trace Crime Stories if you want more than outrage. You want the fixes. And tell us where you're watching from. Tell us what your city has for rapid alerts, safe meetups, or missing person protocols. Your comment is information. Information is time. Time is the difference. This is not a lecture. It's a ledger. On one side, a bright life, a last text, a bedroom that told the truth. On the other, a community that refused to let her vanish twice. The accounting is not done until the next parent does not have to ask, "Where's my child?" for 9 days. The accounting is not done until speed is the rule, not the favor. This is Dark Trace Crime Stories. We document the failures and the fixes. We say her name because she was here, because she mattered, and because the way she was found should never become normal. Stay safe. Stay vigilant. Keep each other visible.